Hello there, dear commissars, and welcome to Talking with Fence People. This is my beloved Rachel. She sits here to the right of me, your host Eric, host Talking with Fence People, and bringer of the news today. The news of life as Falco. If you live life as Falco, your day is filled with the thought, hey there, dear commissar, don't look over here. I'm doing drugs. But, it didn't really pay off for him, did it? No. Part of it has to do with the fact that cocaine's just not a good drug.
Yeah.
And, but I will say this. From my perspective, it was all worth it for that one video.
For that one video, it was totally worth it.
Nothing else, just for that one video.
Even like for the video and the song combined, it's just
right.
so good.
It's cha, cha, you know?
Cha.
The video of him dancing in front of the cop cars as he's running down the street, and his dance and his moves with his collar and stuff.
Yeah.
And his turning the head. Oh. Cha.
Let's do it.
Oh. Cha. 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 Cha.
We gotta request that at some wedding that we go to.
I would like to be able to put it up someplace, a video of us dancing to that song.
Yeah, me
great.
Too.
But
TikTok,
maybe TikTok.
But TikTok. Maybe you probably can. That song you probably can get on TikTok.
I could try to get it on my phone, maybe TikTok.
Cool.
So, what type do you think? We talked about it a little bit earlier. Falco is. I think Falco's an INFJ on cocaine.
Sucks, yeah.
On a lot of cocaine.
Sucks. I do too.
I think it would be easy to mistype him as an ENFJ, but
no, I don't think he's.
I think he's an INFJ with a serious drug problem.
Yeah.
Or was,
Yep.
It's a tangled lion to wrestle with. Drugs and alcohol sometimes.
Well, it doesn't seem to bode well very much, for INFJs, for some reason. Even Kurt Cobain, it wasn't awesome. How he was doing all those drugs, that's definitely not good. I don't know. Inherently, I knew since I was a kid, stay away from needles.
Right. No needles, no PCP.
Yeah, nothing, and no snorting.
That's fine for
you. For me.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea to get into harder drugs or anything like that.
No.
It's a challenge that a lot of people end up having to surmount in their lives, which is to say they've got to find the appropriate place for whatever their indulgences are and managing that.
It's interesting that you say that because I find that people make the most excuses for alcohol.
Well, Falco's thing was he was both addicted to cocaine and a drunk. Now, the thing is, if he were just addicted to cocaine, he probably wouldn't have been nearly as much of a wreck, But even then, he probably wouldn't have been in great shape. But it's like the alcohol makes every other aspect of the bad judgment multiplied.
So much worse.
So
I actually have a theory.
Hmm.
Just based on a little bit of the documentary movie that we watched on him, or biography, whatever. It looks like he did the first video as him as an inspector first, and then maybe while he was coked out, like did a second video with him running in front of the cars.
If there's anybody here who's not yet seen 1985's there, now it's working. Hey, we're playing Fonzie. We're playing Who Can Be the Best Fonzie today. It requires you to say A and to hit the jukebox to make it work.
Oh.
Both those things.
Both those things.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually kind of tough.
I'm going to get everybody the link in case I haven't seen it yet. It is 1985's seminal artwork of the year. And as I've said before, it's like if you were hoping at some point to make the greatest music video of all time, you had already run out of time in 1985.
I was born in 1985, and I'm happy that this song was made the same year that I was born.
Yeah. It is a seminal artwork. I don't mean semen related. I mean, like, you can't, not like that. Like a Good Samaritan, like that kind of seminal.
You should trust host Eric's words.
It is the pinnacle of their semenical, the linical. Yeah.
Right.
And the thing is, what I'm saying about that is, I just can't imagine any better video.
Oh my
ever
God.
be. I could just watch it.
It's so good.
I could just watch it all day.
And do the moves to it too.
I want to learn
so
the dances
fun.
to
Yes.
it. And he is. I mean, the thing is, he's both attaining the absolute pinnacle of all-time coolness and completely owning it concurrently.
Yes.
And it's
Totally
not something you see. The other person comes to mind that reminds me of Falco somewhat is, in that kind of way, is Kanye briefly,
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you can only stay in that spot for a moment.
Yeah.
He stayed in that spot for a moment where he was literally the coolest man on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And he totally knew it.
Yeah.
Oh, Falco, the guy who made that video that I already just linked here, and the genius of that song and video are just unbelievable. But the thing is, it's like the problem, of course, if you're 22 or 21 or however old he was, and you already like hit, boom, right at the right moment in history, right exact thing, there's nowhere to go down. You're not going to have an era-defining expression of self again.
Right.
It can't be done again. Dick fingers make way for the pinochle. What?
That's new information emailed at Anthrax. I didn't know that.
I think what he's saying is when you shake your penis off at the end of peeing, some of the pee, you go from just having penis on your fingers to urine on your knuckles.
Damn. That's what we did.
I can understand that. It must be frustrating for you. Me, I put on knuckle guards every time I pee. Just to be sure that doesn't happen to me. Well, I plan ahead. I'm a planner. I'm a problem solver.
Isn't that the TE?
Yeah, it's my favorite. Just give me buckets of that shit. Like, I want tasks. I want organization. I want plans.
So that snowman needs to be put onto the...
Whoa, hold on there, Dictator Jane.
Okay. Never mind.
You see what we did there? We played a comedic scene for you.
Yeah, using TE.
It's all about TE.
Yeah. It's all about TE.
It was all about the TE in the olden days. Nowadays, it's mostly about the Benjamins.
Mm-hmm.
Things have changed.
Quite.
Don't come us out. So anyway, watch that video, embed it in your soul. Watch it again and again and again and again and again until you finally understand the truth of what I'm saying. That is maybe the single greatest thing ever done in the whole 20th century.
I think so.
In any medium, science, or anything.
I feel honored to share.
It's like
a birthday with it.
Here's the thing, Rachel. We've got the printing press. We've got maybe, I don't know,
vaccines,
lands on the moon, and we've got that Falco video, and this is a good distance above landing on the moon. It's like
you do the moves so good, of the dance moves.
I didn't sing a song about white pride. I sang a cover of a Merle Haggard song.
Yeah, it's not Eric's song.
It's not my song. It's an excellent song, regardless of the racist lyrics.
Eric says in the beginning.
I said
of the
beginning, this is not my opinion. It does not reflect the opinions of me or anything.
It's just a cover of the song.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing is, you can either be in favor of racism, in which case you get like offended or distraught or something, or you can find that shit too stupid to pay attention to and take seriously. You can't take it seriously, so you don't worry about it. And you treat it as the ridiculous, laughable notion that it is, rather than affording it legitimacy it doesn't deserve.
I'm wondering if that's why we have like 9 people here right now. Or maybe did you use all your notifications even?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, it's just also, I don't know. Sometimes it takes, it can usually take 20, 30 minutes to get up to its max, and then it'll sort of peak out and then come back down. It's hard to say what's going to happen with the stream, even if it's a little slow getting going. So don't fear repercussions, such as what? I mean, if people are going to condemn or dismiss me without engaging me at all, discursively, then they're not going to ever like me anyway. Their opinions don't matter anyway. Because
I have a question emailed Anthrax. Are people talking about it on Discord? Just curious.
It's time to do what?
No, you just kind of can't.
Cancel TWFP. Okay, you're right. Let's give it up. Eric's saying, a fantastic song today that expressed a rather old-fashioned frame of reference.
I get it, but it's just like,
I mean, I just thought it was hilarious.
It is
when I first heard it. I was like,
and there's like
God.
There's also so many rappers who like, use derogatory like words that if I were to say, I'd be like crucified for.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, as I indicated, and also, I mean, the thing is, what I indicated in the description is pretty important too. It's like, I probably would face some heat for it if I were white, but since I'm fluidly transracial,
that's true. How did I forget that?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's like, wow, like Rachel, obviously he's transracial, and this was a big moment for him.
Yeah.
Because you were feeling your white.
I wasn't. I was actually, I think, I was midway transitioning between Antarctican and Argentinian, working my way up north, I think.
Oh.
Racially north from the South Pole up.
Is that where you're getting your southern
I
feel from?
About 4 months ago, I was right about here, Los Angeles area. I think I was a Mexican.
Okay.
And then
that happens often.
And then as I transitioned out of Los Angeles, started going south. I was Chinese briefly through San Diego. Then I was Mexican again through Mexico. I oddly was French through Central America. I don't remember what after that. Then I ended up in Antarctica. Now I'm on my way back. I'm in Argentina, but my race is Falkland Islands right now. So, and I'm talking about native Falklanders. There's a race of people who live natively on the Falkland Islands. People don't know about it. They're a pygmy species of human. They're about this tall, but they have remarkably deep voices. And most of the women are named Judith, but the dog is.
So
they're very confusing.
Would I be taller?
Be huge.
Metaphysically.
They're like this big.
So right now you're actually
actual size.
Shorter.
This is the actual size of the human being, of a full-grown man. Like, this is the center of their basketball team. This big. The center of their basketball team on the Falkland Islands is about, what is that, 1.5 foot, 2 feet?
Well, if they make an anime about it, he'll surely win.
Well, because he's got guts.
Right.
What you need is a lot of effort that is that's, I guess you could say, doomed to fail.
Yeah, that is true too. I wasn't expecting them to be doomed to fail, but sometimes you leap before you look. You know what I'm saying?
Who was doomed to fail? What were we talking about?
I don't know. You said doomed to fail.
I know, but I don't remember what it was in reference to.
I'm not sure
either. The thing is,
hey Joey, hey Kyra.
I do plan on I have some thoughts about type policing somebody.
There's a suggestion actually
in
Discord.
Well, somebody suggests this guy's got a bunch of subscribers, like 750,000 or something.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And he turned out to be an ISTJ. Yeah, thank you, Sean Ronnie Barron. This is closer to the actual color of it on screen. It's cool that it's actually like showing the actual color now.
Well, I'm glad that she's been transtonal this whole time.
I'm transtonal.
But the thing is, for most of our relationship, she just transitioned between very close shades of brownish, blondish kind of color. So you couldn't really see that it was happening. But now that she went through more of a stark shift. She woke up one morning, her hair was like this. It's going to shift to various colors naturally now.
How did you know?
I have being multi-trans myself. I can kind of smell it on others. Hey, are you trans, Angel? I'll say to somebody,
As soon as Eric says, "I don't care," go ahead, do it. I'm like, boom, gonna do it. It's nice.
What about the dopamine guy? I don't know who the dopamine guy is.
What else about that?
Is that your euphemism for a drug dealer? I mentioned he might be a good person to type police. Oh, what's his name?
Oh, Kyra. I see. I missed your I missed your comment.
Kyle Kalinske? Rainbows, right? Rainbows, gotcha.
One by one, we'll figure out who to type.
The thing is, I'm probably not going to get to much secular talk.
Oh, yeah. That's who they were talking about in Discord.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can take that person's test. I could type this that guy.
Yeah.
That'd be straightforward enough. But I'm probably not going to do it tonight.
No.
Because
I have a wedgie.
you have a wedgie?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, darling.
It's fixed.
The good thing about wedgies is it just requires a little picking and a pulling.
Yeah, got it.
Man, I just spent the last hour listening to this dream where a guy claims you could actually sue someone prior to the ACT you're suing them for. Prior to the act you're suing them for. It was a dream? You had a dream where somebody was arguing that you could sue them prior to them committing any kind of malfeasance? Oh, yeah, that is Minority Report. That's true. But it was criminal, not civil. So it's actually not Minority Report. Minority Report involves criminal law, not civil law.
I'm going to move from my phone.
He just typed as an ISTJ on Secular Talk. Well, I mean, I suppose I could go check it out, get a little bit of progress on the matter, get some clips and stuff, you know. Tom Cruise has the shoes that bring blues to my shoes. I'm going to put this on. Yeah. I don't want you coming here, wasting all my time. And also, yeah, I kind of lose my mind. Yeah. It's not the perfume that you wear.
It's not the ribbons in your hair.
I don't want you coming here, wasting all my time.
I guess you're just what I needed.
I needed someone to bleed. Okay, let's I'm gonna this. So let's see about this fellow here, Mr. Secular Talk.
Whatever you did, this thing's like brim spanking new.
Yeah, I'll fix it with my fixing bones. What I
Thanks,
did.
Bay. I really appreciate it.
Let's see what this guy had to say here. I know what he types as. He types as an ISTJ. I don't really need to see his typing stuff. I just need to see what type he is based on that stuff.
All right, so this is something that is beyond depressing, and brings me no pleasure to show you this. But just in, U.S. records 20 straight days of 100,000 new coronavirus infections. 20 straight days. By the way, it's more than that now, depending on when this video hits YouTube. 20 straight days. 20 straight days of more than 100,000 new coronavirus cases. Now, BNO Newsroom says another double donut day in Australia. No new domestic cases of coronavirus and no new deaths. How do you explain that? How do you explain that difference? Listen, we could have been in a situation like that, but we didn't respond effectively. You could either do economic shutdowns, but pair that with either wage replacements for people or universal basic income. That would have worked, and we would have kept our numbers down if we did that.
So, just to be clear, Secular Talk, I'm correct, am I not, that you advocated in favor of these policies, right? Back from the get-go, you were saying, yeah, we need these shutdowns. We need to have a stark shutdown and make sure that this thing, you've been arguing that from the get-go, right?
Sorry, truly.
So, what's that? I'll just talk here. Okay, so yeah, secular talk. Because you said at the beginning, probably, I'm assuming, I'm 99% sure, right? Because you probably haven't changed your position. You said at the beginning that the lockdowns and shutdowns were a good idea. They were going to work. So here you are on December 2nd. Your big plan that you're advocating so well, you failed to take into account how people actually are, and it totally failed. And now you're suggesting we continue to listen to you? Why would we do that? You're saying Australia's done a better job of shutting it down. Well, there are lots of factors as to whether or not I think I lost connection. Well, I mean, let me see. I don't see any indication that I lost connection. So, all right, let's get back to this. So, I don't mean to get too sidetracked on this, but secular talk, you should note this, that while you were saying back in March that we should be very firm on these COVID lockdowns and shutdowns and everything, I was saying they weren't going to work, and exactly what's happened now is going to happen. That's what I was saying. And it was a terrible idea to try to impose this on everybody when it runs foul of everything we know about precedent, right? Like, how ought we deal with things like this? And how do we typically deal with things like this? On whom does the onus lie? Is the critical question. Now, oddly, I don't seem to hear you even reflecting on the fact that your horribly misguided advocacy that at the time I was saying was a terrible clusterfuck of a wrong idea that I was proved right, and you're still sitting here pontificating about this shit as though your wrongness taught you nothing. When you make an advocacy, you have to think about whether it's actually going to work in the context in which you make it. And when you advocate a terrible thing that doesn't work, and this guy was standing there going, hey, that's not going to work for exactly the reason it turns out to be, then what should you do? Should you still be running your mouth? Shit for brains? I don't think so. Goodness gracious. He might be an ISB. I don't know. We'll find out. So far, he's made the same arguments everybody's making. Lots of smart people are making these terrible arguments this guy's making. We're watching this guy talk out his ass about COVID. Okay, right, so I do want to respond to his core warrant here, okay? His core warrant is that Australia has no COVID cases and America's got 100,000 new a day. Okay, well, what's the population of Australia, first of all? $30 million. So it's more, it's, 370 million people smaller than the United States, for one thing. Which is kind of significant. For another thing, different states in the United States have different infection rates. And it doesn't link to the amount of hysteria that people in the state express about COVID. So for the states where, like California, where people are nutty about it and everyone's, anxious to enjoy the smell of their own farts as they scold people sanctimoniously about masks and shit, like you're doing, note, I'm not telling you you shouldn't wear a mask. You go ahead and wear whatever the fuck you want. It's your face. You own it. So the point is, that's his core warrant, that Australia is doing a lot better than this, than the United States. And the reason is because we're not warring enough. Okay, but again, that's why I pointed that out back to the beginning, so that now when you try to pull this shit, you're not going to get away with it, you know? I'm not going to let you get away with it. Sorry. You need to own when you fucked up that badly, Kyle Kulinski. Don't just continue blithely stumbling along in your idiocy as though you didn't fuck up.
Really have held the numbers down. So from a health perspective, that's the way to go. But then, yeah, you could have gone the original Japan route and had universal masks, basically, and some limited shutdowns, but kept everything else relatively normal. And if you did that, we would have kept the numbers down. It still would be more people with COVID than if you did the shutdowns. But at least you could have had some sort of mitigation effort that worked. And then in that scenario, you do sort of increase freedom a little bit because people could still kind of go about their normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember, Secular Talk, the way you speak with your royal we's and everything, you're ignoring the reality of things, right? That it's not, we could do this. It's, hey, since I'm controlling this narrative so well here, my side gets to force everybody if we want. Hey, fun. You don't have to choose to do that, asswipe. Like I said, you don't need to tell me how much risk I'm at or whether or not I want to go out without any indication whatsoever that I'm sick and operate under the assumption, because I can't prove I'm not sick, can't prove I won't get sick, that you now have good claim over my behavior. Now, this has never happened before with anything comparable. And when I say comparable, I mean in terms of fatality numbers, in terms of total net harms to human health, actually. I read an article the other day that said 700,000 people last year died of AIDS. Damn those capitalists. Because the drugs to save people from AIDS exist. 700,000 people still died of it anyway. You know, what I said in the beginning, let this fucking thing run its course and do not try to impose your frame of reference on me. Because it's not appropriate, right? If somebody's in a vulnerable population, I said to somebody one time, like, why don't just the people who are in vulnerable populations be responsible for locking down and all that kind of stuff? They're the ones who have to avoid the virus. The person said, we can't lock down all our old people. We've locked down everybody, retard. That includes the old people. This is the kind of shit I hear. I shit you not. I mean, the thing is, the problem here, Legends Fall, is in this instance, even if they're doing that as a habit, the problem is that their logic can and will again and again be used against them. So by Secular Talk, you are in favor of, definitionally by what you're saying, you are clearly in favor of making a law prohibiting single people from having sex with each other until an AIDS vaccine is created. If you think any of this bullshit is justified as a means of forcing, you say, well, we could have done this to have more liberty. No, we couldn't have done anything, right? We could have respected where the onus naturally lies.
Daily routines, and just the only difference is you're wearing a mask and you're covering your eyes.
No, that's not the only difference. The biggest difference is someone's conquered my face and set up camp there. The biggest problem is I'm being compelled to engage in what is fundamentally, whether it ought to be or not, what is fundamentally safety and health theater. Because of people like you who aren't saying the same things that I'm saying right now about it, which are reasonable things.
You could go one of those two ways, and that's it. Any other approaches, I think, are just crazy. like what we have here in the U.S. is obviously a mishmash of different state rules. So there's no real federal response. It's all state by state. And you also have, different states. Some states have mask mandates, some states don't. It sticks in some places, it doesn't in others. And because you have such a fractured, broken down, delegated out response, we're doing terribly. We're doing terribly. We had like a half-ass shutdown, and then the shutdown ended, and now everybody's kind of going back to normal life, even though our cases are skyrocketing. And when you compare us to how other countries handled this, it really is embarrassing. It's like with a lot of things these days. When you look at our healthcare system compared to other developed countries,
right. You are embarrassing, sir. You are embarrassing because you're not asking any of the actually relevant questions. Against what are you comparing? What logic that withstands scrutiny as a principled application across the board in equivalencies are you testing to make sure it works? Tell me about the impacts calculus you're using. Are you counting all of the negative harms before deciding whether or not this is a good thing to advocate for? No, you're half-assing the living fuck out of it. So, run its course. Let it run its course, as I said from the very get-go. And for those, Sean Marman says it's collectivist versus individualist. There are no collectivists, really. There are individualists who don't think you should get to be an individualist too. They think their individualism is so expansive that it's fine for them to force their will and their ideas on everybody. That's not, it's individualism run amok. There's nobody more overwhelmingly selfish and self-serving than the person who imposes his frame of reference on an entire nation state without even doing the basic argumentational legwork. Shame on you, sir. Shame on you. Shame on you. I think you're probably an INTP. You're not an ISTJ either, so you're going to the slammer, but that's irrelevant here. It's one thing to be wrong about your type, which is fine. I mean, who the fuck cares, right? But to be wrong about public policy in such dramatic fashion here, your advocacy for these progressive large social programs that historically time and again have failed so dramatically, and yet you continue to advocate for them as though the evidence meant nothing. How are you funding this UBI? What do you think wealth is? Do you have any understanding of how the economy works? Do you have any understanding how reason works, logic works? You're an INTP. You're too good for this. The thing is, when people like this, you see how calm he is and steady, reassuring. This guy really sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Well, Eric, you're all ranty, and so people are. There are occasions when it is genuinely the case that people need to wake up. And there are occasions when the only kind of response that doesn't normalize what's fundamental wickedness is the appropriate degree of outrage. This guy is capable of doing the thinking and is refusing to do so, pandering to an audience either because he just is lazy in his thinking, lazy in his self-criticism, or because he's just profiteering off it or whatever. Shame on you. I look and sound, and you look like a crazy, angry, homeless man. Well, email anthrax. I mean, if you actually think I look like a crazy, angry, homeless man, then, I mean, I guess, I don't want to call you out, but I wouldn't believe that's what motivated that statement. I believe it was some sort of spite or something. I don't know. Okay. So he's oblivious. He's oblivious. He's making plenty of money on YouTube, and he's an INTP, I think. Might be an INFP. Could very easily be an INFP. But he's not an ISTJ. No fucking way. He talks too much. All right, let me watch a little bit more of this. Let me watch something else. Okay, I hope you, please. Oh, he's a partisan. He's a groupist. God, how retarded is that? I hate that shit.
We are live, bitches. Welcome to the Kyle is technologically
I'm not your bitch, motherfucker.
This happens literally every time we do one of these. I kind of fumble my way through it, but it's still fun either way. So let's see. Let me refresh this. Okay, that didn't work.
INFP.
Of course, what I'm trying to do
INFP,
is
possibly
get
ENFP,
into the back end of this
possibly ENFJ.
YouTube live stream. I'll start talking about stuff in a minute. Don't worry about that. There we go. Live control room. Boom shakalaka bitch. Okay. Here we are.
Okay, you need to stop calling.
So I'll take some super chats in a little bit, but first let me run through some stuff that I want to talk about.
How gracious of you!
I see everybody.
You're gonna take some super chats.
Jumping in the chat.
Wow, what a gentleman!
Holla for $1.
Is this what I'm doing wrong? Is this what the fuck I'm doing wrong? I'm gonna give this a shot and see. I think maybe I just figured out exactly what I'm doing wrong. Okay. So I'm guessing, I'm going to try this. Hey, bitches, give me money. Is it somehow that work? I mean, why do people want to be talked to like that? I don't. I want to talk to, like, I talk to you, Eric? No, probably not that either. But hey, bitches, holla for a dollar. Dude, come on now. Yeah, you're right. He's probably not an INTP. You're right. He's not. He's either ENFJ or I think he looks like an ENFJ. He might be an ENFP, I guess. But it seems more like NI with, I don't know, I have to watch more. I don't know what type it is. I'm not going to try to type the guy. I will tell you this in no uncertain terms. Percentage chance of it raining ISTJs, about 3% chance, which is too low percent chance for him to stay out of the slammer. He's got to go to type jail. You're not an ISTJ. It's not your fault. Okay, look, I don't care about your typology mistake, really, but I just have a job to do. I got to take you to type jail. But the thing is, I understand it's not your fault. It's that stupid test fault. So, you know, and this is why I push for harder legislation to crack down on those tests that mislead poor people like you. What we need is a dedicated police force just in charge of you know, making sure everything's more fair everywhere on the internet. You know? Anyway. Any SI he uses is in reference to stuff he read on the news that aligns with his politics or not. The point is, I'm not sure what he is. ENFJ, INFP, ENFP, I'm not sure. He's got expert intuition 6 or 2. I think 6 or 2. But he might have it 1, but I don't think so. 6 or 2. He's an intuitive, but he's no I don't think he's INFP though. I think he's either INFP or ENFJ. Those are my choices. I narrowed down to those. But one thing we definitely know is he's not ISTJ, not in any ISTJ universe that I've ever ISTJ'd. You know. Anyway, I'm gonna maybe put some of this video up. I'm not sure. I just got so mad when I saw that stupidity. And I see more stupidity from him. It's like, I don't like his affect. He's got 500 million views. He's talking about that, you know? He's got 500 million total views on his channel. Well, good for him, you know? I mean, obviously, you know, he probably won't even ever encounter my critique of him, because if you've got 800,000 subscribers, you're not paying that much attention to what some random person out there says about you. Plenty of random people are saying plenty of random stuff about him, I'm sure, you know? Okay. So, boo failure, boo failure. Let's see what you're talking here.
The Democrats don't self-correct. They don't. Historically, whenever a Republican drags the spectrum to the right, the Democrats follow and go further to the right.
Talk about poisoning the well, right? The Democrats don't self-correct. So every time there's anything that the Republicans favor, we consider that a move to the right, and that the necessity is for us to move further back to the left to correct against that. Of course, we're not moving in any direction. A policy is a specific policy that either is a good idea or a bad idea on its own merits. So, for example, somebody who advocates policy and understands it well said at the beginning of this COVID thing, let it run its course. Somebody who doesn't think well and thinks very poorly, like you, is still complaining that we're not locking down hard enough or we're not consistent enough, but you're not making a real advocacy of the only thing that you should make a real advocacy for, namely let it run its course. Have a clear advocacy here. On this one, it's cut and dry, black and white. You don't need to pussyfoot around the issue. You don't need to pretend as though complaining about the U.S. failing and falling short is somehow meaningful activity. Your complaints, sir, are misleading and devious. I see them for what they are. Not arguments, certainly not arguments worth listening to. Rather, you know, heartless caricatures, heartless and cruel caricatures of real arguments. Statement you make is totally empty. Exactly. And you go like, oh, Democrats historically failed to self-correct. So note what you're noting here, that if in fact the Democrats move to the right because that's the way to appeal to a majority of the population, the Democrats are failing to correct properly. So in other words, when the Democrats moved to the right, quote unquote, and Bill Clinton got elected, that was a failure of the Democrats to self-correct left more and lose to the Republicans again. That's your, I mean, so it's like, it's not just on TI grounds that it's an abject failure. It's on TE grounds that it's an abject failure. So, you know, this guy is clearly getting by on Effie and poop dust or something. I don't know. But what do I make of NTJ for him? I mean, he's not really, like, listen to the shit he says, right? He's not saying anything worth anything.
So the notion of the backlash theory is, no, Trump gets elected and then the left goes, fuck this, we're going to go further left and get our shit together. But in my opinion, that doesn't really happen. What happens is Democrats run to the right to catch up to the Republicans. So that's a little disagreement that I have with Jimmy Dore.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. Are you seriously unaware of what's happening here, dude? Are you seriously unaware that you are not advocating for anything at all except blaming a named group? You don't have any good thoughts at all about anything? Are you aware at all that is the case? No, I'm not in favor of the Republicans or conservatives or anything like that. I am just as angry at them for being just as dumb as you. But the problem is, sir, you've got a very large following. And I mean, I don't know who would be convinced by your drivel, but some people surely are. You need to learn how to defend real arguments, real positions with real arguments, and not just sit there and paint ugly caricatures and say, those crummy bad guys over there. I mean, fucking be a man, be a human being, be a citizen, for Christ's fucking sakes. You have a responsibility when you don't think well naturally to either remove yourself from that public policy consideration forum. You have no business in any public policy forum because you don't think properly. You need to think about public policy in certain very specific ways. And if you fail to do so, you're going to do way more harm than good if you ever get your way. I'm mad at this person, RR. I'm mad at this guy. His name is Secular Talk or something. And I'm sickened. I'm disgusted. I'm frustrated. It's like there's zero chance that he would ever be able to engage in any kind of meaningful conversation about anything related to politics. If I were to say to him, so you're advocating in favor of this Manitoba thing, he'd dissemble. He'd say, well, I'm saying that if, all I'm saying is we should either not do it this way or not do it this way, but, we're messing up compared to these other countries. So what are you advocating for? Well, we need to be clear and firm, federal action, blah, blah. Okay, so you are advocating in favor of sterner lockdowns. He doesn't want to say that. He doesn't want to say that explicitly. That's what he's doing. So he's one of those people that I can tell you right away, he would be unable to engage ideationally in any meaningful sense. He's him at ENTJ. Possible, but I don't see any real TE in his argumentation. He's not saying we should do it this way because it's smarter and it works better. He's saying we should do it this way because that's which team we're on.
But yeah, I would have tried to do something either way. So we did something when Trump won. If Hillary had won, we would have done something as well. What would you recommend me running for if I run? I'm 19, live in Ohio. The minimum age to run is 18, and I want to run for either governor or senator as a JD. Which would be more effective? Well, Sam, I got some bad news for you, man. Justice Democrats only does national elections. They don't do state elections. So neither way can you be a JD. But you can run as a progressive. You can run as somebody on the left for sure. And you run for whatever you feel you want to do. I mean, I think you probably have a better chance if you run as a state senator. That's what you're asking, state senator, right?
That seems like FENI to me. It seems like FENI because he hasn't really. I like his answer there. He's informed, right? He understands that. So there's actually some good TI there. He's saying, okay, well, actually, that's not the way it works, but it's good TI about TE, and so I think he's an ENFJ, but I don't really know. He's clearly though he's still stuck in the frame of reference that says one of the two sides is right or the middle ground, one of those three. And I just don't, email anthrax, I don't care about the type J at all, frankly. What I'm saying is he's not an ISTJ. He's definitely not an ISTJ.
Can I join again?
Of course, sure. And so, that's why I have to put him in type jail. I said 3% chance. Not definitely 3% chance, maybe. I've just watched this person named Secular Talk, and it was absolutely appalling. Nothing short of absolutely appalling.
That's sad.
Listen to this.
I don't want to.
Then if you run for governor, maybe save governor for later on. But running as, say they believe in libertarianism, all believe in that kind of a system, and then let's argue against that. That's just silly. You're not having an actual conversation. It's mental masturbation if you do that. You want to have a conversation and talk about how you disagree with democratic socialism and social democracy? Talk about Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, Finland, Greenland, some aspects of Canada and Australia. Talk about that. But you can't talk about that because those countries are fucking wonderful. They're objectively measured to be the best countries on earth. They have rigorous study.
So, the thing is, what you hear there is a lack of cognitive dissonance that should be ringing loud and clear in his head. It's like he's getting mad at libertarians to say they need to address libertarian points first, principle before utility, right? Even though that's actually correct, that you do need to address principle before utility, regardless of the libertarians or not. Certainly, it doesn't hurt to make sure something is a principled act before you determine whether or not it's going to be useful or effective. Now, that doesn't mean that government should never do anything that's unprincipled, but you dismiss it as a reasonable calculus at all is silly. Now, in addition, I want to say the following. I'm not a libertarian. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not any of those little group teams that you guys play dolls with over there, okay? So what's the takeaway from this? You and the libertarian are the same, and I'm the alternative to that kind of stupidity. You're welcome to join me, by the way. You seem like a smart enough fellow. There's plenty of good TITE stuff going on here, okay? But you need to open your eyes and say, okay, I'm going to stop using my feelings to decide what I believe in and start choosing the strongest arguments. He could be ENFP. Absolutely. Because, sir, if you would listen to the sentences you say next to each other, you'd say, I couldn't possibly have said both of those things and meant both of them. The hypocrisy would be stunningly shameful. So yeah, probably ENFP. I don't know. Regardless, there's no TI, no logic. There's no reason. Talk about all these European example countries, right? That have a much greater percentage of the national wealth going into government redistribution programs of some sort, right? So foremost, of course, you've not established at any point in any way that the reason Norway kicks ass is because of the socialism. Norway kicked ass, has always kicked ass, right? It's a great place. I agree. Scandinavia is a nice place. And they're also very progressive. So we do see examples where progressivism work. Progressivism means certain policies may actually seem to work or be reasonably effective or whatever, right? So I'm not arguing against any kind of redistribution policy. In fact, I advocate in favor of UBI, but mine's funded, unlike yours. So, and it's funded properly. It's funded in the same way. Now, the problem is, somebody like you don't understand how massively regressive your policy advocacies constantly are. So when you advocate to tax rich people more, change tax code more, and we get even this big book of tax laws, then we have huge amount of industry and energy in the nation going towards tax preparation. Just wealth thrown down the hole, right?
That's not good.
And even worse, because the nature of taxes is progressive, it means that somebody like Trump only pays $720 in taxes, federal taxes, because that's what progressive taxation does. It claims to be progressive. It's incredibly regressive. What's the most regressive tax there is? Capital gains tax. Do you favor it? Now, if you do, it's because either you hate the poor, you hate the middle class, you hate prosperity, you love seeing people's wealth locked into their pockets and their bank accounts permanently and never be able to get out again. And you like the idea that poor people should have to stay poor so you can continue advocating on their behalf, I suppose. Capital gains taxes do all of that. That's what they actually do. You envision a rich person selling their stocks, cashing in a bunch of money, and not paying those licking taxes. Of course, they earned that money in the first place, paid income taxes on it. They then invested. They chose to invest it instead of buying consumer goods. And when their gamble doesn't pay off, they don't get any more taxes back. They don't get any money from the government back, and they shouldn't. It's a gamble. So the government shouldn't take money from it either when it pays off, because after all, that money's already been taxed probably multiple times. That's just one reason why. Mostly what it is everybody who attains prosperity does so through investment. Almost everybody who does. You want the poor people to stay poor, because as soon as somebody attains success by investment, you point to them as part of the problem. So the real problem in this country and the world across is when a human being talks about public policy but is unable to think correctly about it, or unwilling to, who doesn't use real, good, strong, meaningful arguments, who conflates the impact of social programs in a homogenous society, like some Scandinavian country or whatever, and says that because that Scandinavian country is still successful or good, that the policy was good. It just like, oh, I put these things side by side, they must have caught each other. You fucking retard. God, you're stupid. I hate your stupidity, not because you're stupid. I hate it because your stupidity harms everybody. Harms me, harms her, harms everybody.
Yeah, like.
Exactly. Pride goeth before the fall. Note that I'm all angry and making arguments. What kind of things am I arguing? Note how few of my arguments are trying to force you to do things. How few of my arguments are about how your group is bad. None of them are about how your group is bad. I'm talking about your specific policy advocacies. You claim, look, these people are more socialist than we are, and their country's great. That's not a policy advocacy. That's sticking your head up your ass. That's not an argument. That's not a warrant. Why you say you don't get to limit the scope of their argumentations, libertarians? I do. It's like, think, motherfucker. God, it pisses me off. It's not any of your positions, right? It's not your positions. It's your failure to think about them properly. You can hold whatever fucking position you want, but be honest in your reasoning.
So weird.
Don't be an asswipe.
I feel like my hair, I look bald because my hair's like disappeared. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's all about Kyle. Well, it's like, I mean,
Can I say something about that made my SI very happy?
sure.
So every year that you subscribe to Spotify, it does a list of your top most listened to artists. And last year it was the Beatles as number 1. And guess what it was for 2020?
I don't know.
The Beatles.
Beatles.
Yeah. I like how so consistent I am. You know, there's something like that. Like, it's like, maybe that's FI. I'm not sure. But, it made me go wow, I really know myself. I don't know. Yeah, the Beatles. Like, I was very happy that they were like my number one most played band because they are my favorite. So, like, I was kind of nervous that this year they weren't going to be for some reason. So it was exciting to see that they were number one because I wasn't expecting it.
But that's what I want to say about Kyle's argument about the European countries, to be clear. He is correct to a certain extent that European socialism in countries where it hasn't crept too deeply into the society successfully disproves a lot of libertarian sky is falling kind of talk. In other words, we are moving into a world where we understand society as somehow reflective of us all, and we'd like to see a more ideal version of the world than we currently live in. That's perfectly acceptable and normal to want. Everybody wants that. The problem is when we mistake people's emotional engagement with politics for political position. So it's like this guy's saying he's really upset because he sees these other countries that are more socialist and are better off than this, and he sees the United States is not being socialist or not being more left as a stubborn refusal to prioritize justice over injustice, a stubborn refusal to prioritize equity over poverty or something, right? Of course, that's nuts. We spent trillions of dollars on LBJ's war on poverty. Had zero impact. Zero. It's like the war on drugs. There are some things, no matter how much you interfere with them, you'll just continue making them worse. So when you have a plant, for example, you might really want it to grow. But if you try to make it grow by pulling it out of the ground, you're going to kill it. So yeah, I get it, secular talk. You and I are probably in broad agreement, generally, about what the ideal future would look more like for the average person. How the ideal future would be more equitable in division and its outcomes, as well as in its processes. The difference between you and me is you think that's adequate. That's all you need to know for the policy advocacies. All you need to know is the desired goal. And then it's just a matter of hashing out the details. Just devils in the details. We'll just work it out. You're either on the right side, in which case you agree and you hate poverty and you love Democrats, or you're on the wrong side, in which case you're a fascist. So the thing is, of course, the reality is not that at all. It's nothing like that. It's that just because we agree on what an ideal world would look like doesn't mean we can trust you to drive us there. In fact, we can be certain that if you're behind the wheel, you'll kill us all.
Well, like, I really don't want that. So, I can't go for that. No can do.
No can do. Well, you know what my favorite song is right now, Joey, don't you? With some harsh words, I'm mad. I mean, they're appropriately harsh. I will not be guilty of normalizing a failure to engage in proper discursive robustness. It's like, check yourself. Am I actually capable of doing this before you do it?
Yeah, he's absolutely right. And justified in.
What's a teleological fallacy? In Norway, breaking into your partner's phone is not only frowned upon, it's illegal. Well, Sean O'Neill.
2 years in jail. That's.
I mean, I'm disappointed in Norway because they've created something that doesn't exist, when all they needed to say was it's a violation of property rights. It's a violation of property rights.
Sean O'Neill, I agree with that. Fuck that. Like, I definitely broke into one of my ex-boyfriend's phones and found out that he was cheating on me. So, you know, like, there are some times where it calls for it.
Oh yeah, I broke into a spouse's email to do that as well. But the thing is, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking about the argumentation. The problem there, Sean, the whole issue here is it a dumb law? Yes. But why is it offensive? What makes the law especially offensive? It references something that doesn't exist, a right to privacy. There is no such thing. It doesn't need any right to privacy for them to make that law. They can simply point to the obvious violation of property rights. So why would they abuse discourse in this fashion? That's the offensive thing here. I don't give a fuck about people going to jail for phone or not going to jail for phone. I think it's stupid, of course, but I don't care about Norwegians who are in jail for breaking into their partner's phones. I'm sorry. I've got other things to worry about in my life. Norwegians who are currently incarcerated for breaking into your spouse's phones, I'm sorry for not caring about you more, but I don't care about you. But I do care about your stupidly worded law.
Well, Daniel Burke, it's weird. I've been thinking a lot about death lately. So it goes right along with your topic of the apocalypse. I don't know why. It's the fucking Japanese shows, yo. It gets into my head.
I don't think it's that. We've had a dark few days and maybe a dark week. I think it's, well, I mean, look, although we don't talk about it that much and it's not really active in our communications, it is the case that very recently we've had a big surge of COVID things. There's a big move now, sort of narratively, to shut shit down. That football games are getting canceled again. And it's like,
yeah,
you just want to stomp your foot, just, you know?
I don't know. I just like.
Exactly. God damn it, we were promised to play.
I really don't think that, but like, I don't really think that the apocalypse is coming, but it's just like, they're so, like, I don't even know. It's just, I can't even put into words how annoying it is. It, like, really fucking puts a chip on my shoulder. You know what? It really does. All this bullshit, all this COVID stuff definitely puts a chip on my shoulder. It makes me want to play sports. You know, an INFJ is really pissed off when they want to play sports, because that's like not the norm. Or if they want to run or work out. Like, I want to fucking play hockey like nothing else right now.
If COVID is the tip of the iceberg, what's the main part of the iceberg? Because I want to know. I got to guess. I'm not sure, but is it more COVID?
It's true of your friend who's an INFJ too, Levi Samuels. It really is how I am. I was outside on the porch, it's cold out, and I was thinking about how it's nice that in hockey you can spit. Because I'm a spitter, obviously. I have phlegm. I'm phlegmy. So in that sport you can spit, and I'm pretty good at hockey when it's on the ground. I've never done it on skates before, but I'm sure I'd be fine.
So I don't fully agree with Eric, but I think Eric has a good point. COVID wasn't handled and still isn't handled properly. The thing is, let's say, I mean, it's not possible meaningfully to have successfully prevented this thing from doing back up again. And so at the point, you just say what I said in the first place, just let it run its course. And of course, the problem is now that there's this vaccine coming out. And the worst possible case scenario is that the pro-COVID alarmism camp retain the narrative ground as after the fact. Like, let's say the vaccine works great And see, I told you we should have waited for the vaccine. That's the worst case scenario because that's one that does the most long-term damage.
Well, Kyra, they're still legal, but it's only they've gotten way more like timid. There's a lot more rules. You can't. I think there's like a 7-minute like warning, like or not warning, 7-minute limit, and there's like no direct like face hitting. Like yeah, you fight on it, but it's like for nothing. They really don't like people fighting it anymore. Like, yes, they do, but it's like how people are now learning how to tackle differently in football. People learning how to fight differently during hockey. It's always going to be part of the culture of hockey because it's not an American game, it's a Canadian game, and they like to fight on the ice.
Well, the thing is, Brian Fox says you can't be blatant. In other words, and Joey says the government can't just let us run its course just on political reasons alone. In other words, FE stuff, right? That the FE, maybe he is an ENFP then. I agree. Kyle triggers me. There's something about that kind of reasoning where the lack of reason that's masked in verbosity it makes me want to vomit.
Kyra, you're right. I mean, honestly, it used to be my dad would tell me about hockey when he would watch it in the 60s, and it was like brutal. Like, it's not false to say, like, you're not really a hockey player if you don't have some fake teeth. I mean, you're kind of known as a pretty boy because you're not looking to fight.
The point is this. There's a lot of people out there who are saying about the vaccine. The big problem is the vaccine is going to harm people. That various problems with the vaccine. I'm not disputing that. In fact, I'm skeptical of the vaccine. But I'm saying what would be even worse than that skepticism being proved would be the alternative, that if the vaccine works perfectly. And the reason is because humanity has to continue living on into the future. There are some things that set incredibly bad precedent and that cause huge problems from that point forward because of the bad precedent they set. What's the number one example of horrifically bad precedent that's led to a series of terrible decisions? Even though in the original precedent, it was fine. The answer is World War II. World War II was a fine thing for us to engage in. It was a just war, so to speak, and it was a war that civil society had to win over authoritarianism in that moment, as it does periodically. Unfortunately, it set the precedent that it's a good idea for us to interfere when matters of liberty or authoritarianism are at stake. In reality, it was a good idea for us to interfere because Hitler was invading everybody and was a genuine risk to conquer the world. So that doesn't mean that we should go interfere here whenever anybody starts oppressing anybody. You know, it's like the thing that came right before us getting involved in World War II, right before Pearl Harbor, was a very strong isolationist movement that said, we do not want to get involved in these foreign wars. We do not want to go fight the Germans. Then the Japanese bombed us and made it unavoidable. So the thing is, World War II sets for many people a very bad precedent, for many presidents, for many politicians, for many political thinkers, a bad precedent. No matter what level of thinking they're doing, whether it's like, I guess you'd call basically competent professional level, which is at least be able to mean specific things, respond to specific things. But yeah, that guy is a huckster, you know. He's an imitation thinker. An imitation thinker. That's the best way to put it. And it's probably a pretty good imitation, you know. he probably sounds like he's making good points. For example, his thing about his response to libertarianism trying to control the frame sounded pretty strong. In reality, he's simply shifting to a stock argument that he's got in place in order to avoid the warrant the person's making. And his insistence that that because other countries continue to thrive despite having more socialism than we do, that it's unacceptable to consider matters of limits of government power entirely is, I mean, you're just being the libertarians. You're just doing the same thing they're doing. You're being agenda first, dogma first. You're refusing to use your brain. Since you have so many people watching you, you really have a responsibility to. It's like, I mean, you're gonna have to.
I'm so depressed. It's just depressing me.
Yeah, I know you're not liking it. It's been a rough week. I don't know what to tell you, Rachel.
Yeah, it has been.
We're not hating on libertarians. This guy was making arguments about it, and I didn't like the disingenuity of his arguments because,
It's true. You're right.
it's perfectly reasonable to discuss what the proper scope of government might be. And simply because some other country is prosperous while having a less restrictive scope, that is not an argument in favor of a less restrictive scope. Has the MBTI community lost their connection to Jung? Unfortunately, no. A lot of people still turn first to Jung as a primary source, and that's understandable since he's the inventor of the idea. But it's like saying, well, it's like saying the guy who invented the typewriter is the best person to talk to about HTML formatting because he's the primary source of typesetting or something. It doesn't work like that. I mean, you're right in terms of the fact that I got very triggery. And it seems to be ENFPs that trigger me. ENFPs talking politics because
Trigger me too.
It's passion is powerful. You're passionately striding down the exact wrong direction or the wrong path or the wrong idea or something. A lot of people aren't critiquing those notions themselves. They're relying on heuristics like your level of confidence, how good you sound. You might fool them. That's TI polar though. It's like there's not really any getting through ENFPs about this because from their frame of reference, they never have that accountability moment where they go, "Oh, the reality I painted is in direct contradiction with the reality that it is, and I need to be responsible." They never have that moment, so probably Well, I mean, Ghost. From my perspective, the most liberal types and the most conservative types are both the same. Which is to say, they're both people they're both people who are playing the fire engine game. So the analogy I've made before, when you're really blind about something, this is what happens. Okay, when you're polar. So let's say you were polar fire engine sirens. As you go through your life, you walk down the street and you notice that when a fire engine drives by with its lights on, people go like this. So you start doing that too. You can't hear anything, but you just think that's a thing we do. When the fire engine drives by, we stick our fingers in our ears. Until one day, that fire engine drives by with the lights on, but the siren's not on. Nobody else puts their fingers in their ear, but the blind person does. The siren blind person, right? Siren deaf person. Well, that's what it is to have an ENFP talking about politics. Except instead of just sticking their fingers in their ears when the fire engine drives by, they're making what's that kind of like bullshit Latin-y talk that they use to fill in blogs and stuff called? How the self-proclaimed Justice Democrat? What is a Justice Democrat exactly? I mean, what distinguishes them from a regular Democrat? Is that they favor more social justice? Lorem ipsum. Right. So what happens is, the fire engine drives by. The guy doesn't just put his fingers in his ear. Instead, he starts giving a great speech about what the fire engine ought to do, except he's gesturing and pointing and making all these indications. Go through, but he's speaking purely in ipsum, whatever that's called again. It's up higher. I gotta go up. He's speaking entirely in. What time is it? Oh, shit, I gotta work pretty soon. I'm speaking entirely in. Lorem ipsum. Lorem ipsum. So he's speaking in that. But people who aren't standing very close, who don't have good hearing for that kind of thing, it sure sounds like from a distance that he really knows what he's doing. He really knows what he's talking about. So, I mean, it's like that's Dunning-Kruger at its maximally harmful is when it applies to public policy. And that's what makes me so angry at ENFPs because, the problem is agenda-based, group-based, blame-based politics. And that's exactly what this guy's doing. Ba-dun-dun-dun-dun. Ba-dun-dun-dun, ba-dun-dun-dun-dun. Ba-dun-dun, ba-dun-dun-dun-dun. Ba-dun-dun-dun-dun, ba-dun-dun-dun-dun. Ba-dun-dun. Cha! Cha! Cha!
Do the head movements. Oh.
No. Oh. No.
I'm sorry, I got fight.
No, I'm feeling the same way, Rachel. It's like you and I are on the same page. We're kind of a little bit, not exactly getting sick of hanging out with each other, but like I could tell like last night you wanted the room,
I slept.
I know, but I mean, you were ready to take over this room when I went to bed.
I guess, but I slept out on the couch.
I know, but you stayed up later than me.
Oh yeah, because I wanted to finish the show.
Right, and
yeah.
there was some, waiting for me to go to bed, and I could tell. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is just that, like, we're kind of bored,
It's gonna happen.
or I mean, not with each other. I mean, with the world, but
Yeah.
we're also kind of just like.
I'm not honestly like I'm not happy like that Sleepy was messed up. I feel like there's reverb from that and from Kitty.
Well, that's this plumbing thing, which has been weighing heavy on me. It was weighing heavy on me even before the guy came, because I knew I had to chase after him to come, and it was like it took a long time for him to actually come and do the job. So it's like it's been stressful.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's not your fault, and I'm sorry if I've been taking anything out. I think we basically have not been taking it out.
No, we haven't. We really haven't. That's exactly how it's just been.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a little air fart.
Who is Falco? Falco is the composer and maker of Der Kommissar and also Rock Me Amadeus. Do I think that people can't change their types? Correct. I think that people do not change their types. Not that they can't, it's that they don't. That they no more change their types than they change their height or their handedness.
I'm not really like depressed. It's just that topic was just like so like slimy.
You're tired of the antagonism and the fightiness and stuff, probably.
I get it. I get it though, because you're right. I couldn't listen to a word that dude was saying. Like, it was so irritating. Right away, asking for super chats too. So far up his ass.
Okay, great gamer. How can you say the following two things back to back and not smack yourself in the face? The right has the more morally right politics. No same-sex marriage allowed. Religious freedom. Isn't marriage part of religious freedom?
I'm free from religion.
I mean, I don't think really anybody believes no same-sex marriage allowed anymore. It doesn't. I mean, there are no good arguments for it because, of course, nobody's saying that Rachel and I can't get married by Joey Bob down the street
Mm-hmm.
and a spiritual marriage. It's purely whether or not everybody has access to the same legal status and tax benefits and stuff.
Mm.
And there's no meaningful way that you can ever possibly say that equal protection under the law doesn't apply here.
That stuff like doesn't really like I don't care about that stuff. So I want to be with you because I want to be with you. Like I love you. That's why I want to like if ever I were to like get married to you, it would be for love. It wouldn't be like legal stuff scares the shit out of me, man. That's more TE that I'd probably like. It just I don't want to.
Email anthrax. I think Jeff Shaw probably is an INFJ. He's.
Oh no.
He's not a bad person. Okay. He has. It's possible anyway. You know. It's
Did I make it seem possible?
No. He made it seem possible to me. I wouldn't be shocked if he were. Certainly, he's using a lot of FE. And he certainly has strong intuition. I don't think he's accustomed to having his NI packages dismantled so thoroughly, but
I say live and let live, great gamer, you know. It's Not my relationship, not my problem.
The thing is, great gamer, an honest person will say this. My friends Doug and Joe disgust me because they're both guys and they have sex. And I'm actually feeling disgust towards it. Okay? So if that's being honest, if you have an honest reaction towards it, nobody feels disgust at the concept of a legal matter, like whether or not everybody has equal protection under the law regarding tax statuses. SJWs. Again, an honest person will not say SJWs disgust you. They'll say, Susie said meow, and meow is a disgusting thing to have said. Because then you don't make yourself part of the problem. When you choose to find certain groups to be particularly loathsome and blameworthy, then it's like there's a race, a running race, everybody running, and there's two tracks, right? There's two teams that are running this way, and they're both trying to get to the end, but like half of the runners keep going into the field between the two tracks and fighting each other, and then the reasonable people go, okay, I don't care which track you get on, just keep running, please, and not waste our time. Right now, I had to go back. I had to stop. I had to go back. Why? Because Great Gamer, like a little baby, ran out in the middle of the field and started fighting with the Republicans or against the progressives or whoever he hates again. No, dude, we're busy. Come on. We're practicing. We're running. You're getting in shape. Don't go fight. Now I see you're all covered in mud, and they are too. Now you guys have to go back to the clubhouse. You have to wash off, and then I have to walk back there with you because you're going to get lost. I know you. I know how you get lost so easily, get Great Gamer. This is the problem, right? When people choose to be groupist and agendaist, they put the responsibility on the few reasonable people to drag them back into the reasonable boat again.
I'm like so sorry. I'm mad.
That's okay.
I take it back.
Well, I thought you were gonna say I'm so done.
No, and I'm not fucking feeling depressed. I'm so happy with you. It's just like it's frustrating when you have like such like the things you have to say are actually intelligent and can like make changes for a lot of people, but this dude is like just like spreading his theories on life, and a lot of people are watching and believing it. Just like,
well, I mean, it's simple as this. There's how many subscribers do I have again?
you have like 6,029. Yeah.
6,290. Okay. So there's 6,290 people running down the track. And there are 900,000 of us squabbling in the middle of the field.
Right.
This is the challenge that somebody like me faces. And then, of course, it makes me mad. And then what happens? Oh, he's shouting, he's ranting, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But what are my alternatives? To normalize that as though it's acceptable to have 900,000 followers, be a politics channel, and not be able to do basic thought.
It's definitely understood.
I mean, what I mean by like basic parsing about policy, about public policy specifically, okay? I have no doubt the guy is perfectly capable of basic thought and all sorts of things in life. But what I'm saying is when we talk about public policy, there are certain frames of reference that make those conversations actually policy discussions, and certain frames of reference that make those things you actually ran into the field like a baby and starting slapping the other people. So right now, what's happening? Great Gamer and Kyle are in the middle of the field slap fighting. Instead of, at least Great Gamer is here with these 5,000. We got to drag him back into the boat. Come on, Great Gamer. Stop shitting on those people over there and let's just be reasonable. it's the people who are here, the people who listen to me. I'm extremely grateful to you for listening to my rants and talkings and just chatting with me and all your presence in general. It's sometimes it's like sometimes I need to be a little bit mentally prepared for what I'm gonna hit. So I prepped out before I made my phone call to the plumbers today, as to how I was gonna approach it, what my attitude was gonna be, etc. The whole thing. But of course, I didn't actually get to talk when I left a message. But the point is, when I do that, I'm a lot more successful at actually implementing those things than if something catches me kind of by surprise. Like,
I was surprised.
I didn't know. I thought secular talk. I expected to hear maybe atheist stuff, which is fine because it doesn't make me that mad, really. It's like, whatever, being atheist, being an atheist. It makes me mad when people make really bad arguments in favor of atheism or really bad arguments against faith-based behaviors. But I didn't expect him to be such a perfect textbook example of the problem. Agenda-based,
Yep.
groupist,
Agenda.
blame-based politics.
I fucking hate that shit. That's why I get angry. I'm so like. That's so contrary to what I believe in, like my values. That's why like I plugged my ears because I couldn't hear that guy. I was gonna. It's getting better at ignoring it.
Yeah. Rachel helps me a lot without doing anything at all specifically, but she helps me a great deal with my remembering the bigger picture frame sometimes. Not by scolding me about it, but rather
I don't want to scold you.
things, it's like she wants to be on my side and tries to. And so when I hear her being pushed into being angry because I've created some sort of adversarial mood, I recognize it as such better, and I'd like to return to a more positive vibe. I can tell when like Rachel's trying to change the topic and I keep going back to topics that I'm not done yet.
That's fine though.
But I'm just like thinking,
fine.
well, I have to finish making all my points.
You should, and you should. I'm here to entertain the other people.
Sure. I'm not saying we're all fine, Rachel. We're fine. We're not fighting. This is the kind of fights that Rachel and I have. It's like we don't even finish. I know. Yeah.
Because
Subtextual clusterfuck. Right. Got it.
Yeah. Exactly. Subtextual clusterfuck, indeed. No, I definitely wasn't trying to change the subject. I always want you to like finish what you have to say because I don't like when I'm interrupted.
Oh, well, you were interrupted by me all the time compared to you interrupting me.
Well, yes.
And now she's thinking,
When you're
God damn it,
passionately,
I shouldn't have put it that way because I should have known that Eric was going to intuit that meaning. God. Now I'm gonna have to do some extra meta work to make sure that not just the meanings are solid, but the meta meanings as well. That's how Rachel and I love.
Oh my gosh, it's so true.
We love with our intuition.
Yeah.
We're like the Real Diego of lovers.
We really are. It's bananas because I was looking at another not the Casio biorhythm, but like this other biorhythm compatibility. It also said that we had like 98%, and it said that our intuition was very high as well. Isn't that interesting?
Mm.
Yeah.
What does INFJ ISFP relationship look like? I don't know, Rachel.
I think it can be friendly. One of my oldest friends is an ISFP, and She stuck up for me a lot of times. And as we got older, we would go out to dinner and stuff with each other and have nice discussions. It was always nice to run into each other too. It was very pleasant as friends. But like, also, I knew that over time, I was grateful to know her habits from knowing her over time. So like, I knew if I saw Heather, like, I might not see Heather for another 3 months or something like that. Like, it was very infrequent that we saw each other, but it was friendly.
Email Anthrax says, ISFP says I want to boink you. INFJ says I want to boink you. And then they boink and find out they don't like each other. The end. That's a very tragic arc to that story there. It seems like,
I mean, if that's happened to you, I can't take that experience away from you. So
it seems to me that perhaps then sexual intercourse is the Achilles heel of the INFJ ISFP relationship.
I wouldn't know.
Not even introverted or extroverted intuition, just intuition.
I actually think that we listened to some of Frank James's latest stuff today, and it was really good.
Yeah, I like the direction he moved in with the new video, which is about,
Yeah.
I think it has like 4 numbered points about dating an extrovert or something like that.
Yes.
And it's fairly short, and it's funny, and he's not stuck with the format constraints of doing each of the 16 types. He's just doing extrovert, introvert.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Ronnie Fox. You're adorable too. And your daughter as well. She looks like you.
So Rachel and I concept tested function rummy today.
Yeah.
And it works. I figured out how to make it work better, which is we'll pull the aces, twos, kings, and get rid of the eights, but make 3 the interface so that we don't have that straight problem in the middle. And
Okay.
And then separate all those cards and the jokers. And then each time you'll pull 4 of these and like 2 of these or something. And that way it moves a lot faster because you've always got like you've always got 2 functions. You've always got 4 other cards.
Yeah.
Functions.
Okay, that makes sense.
And if we could somehow get a way to test it online with 4 people, where it's a card game, because it's an interesting game. It works well. The mechanics of it. I think it could potentially be very fun to play with 4 people, and it's basically a weird combination of rummy and backgammon, kind of, without any dice. The way it works is basically you have to begin. Well, let's say you draw your cards and you get like 3 5s, and you get like a 9, and then you pull your 2 function cards and you get, let's say, 2 2s, which are get cards. Well, they can't do you any good at this point. So you can still play your 3 5s as a set face down on the field furthest from the one you're going to. You go to your dominant function field. But let's just play it as though you pretend you're playing as INFJ. You start at SI and you go around to NI. And once it's an NI, then if you have a full set that's open, that's say face up, then you can close it and remove those cards from the game. Those are your points then. But until it's closed, they can be moved around by different kinds of functions. So she might have like a set of 4 things on her NI field, or her internal metaphysical field. But if I have the right interface card, in other words, if I play FE, then I can move that stack away from her internal metaphysical field out to the external metaphysical field. And then that function card goes into the function discard. So the function cards never are part of anything. They're just played on things. If there's a stack of 4 cards that's face down, I can play a king as a knowledge function, and it'll make it go face up. But I can only do that if it's on the external metaphysical field or on one of my internal metaphysical fields. If it's on the opponent's, I can only do it with the right color king. So that makes it somewhat more challenging.
It's fun. It's really fun.
I'm kind of stunned that it works because I've been thinking about it for a long time. I thought it was a good idea, and what happened last night was I had a breakthrough, which was it occurred to me a way to play it as solitaire, and then that allowed me to I cut a lot of complexity from it that I had previously considered to make it. Previously, it was more representative of cognitive functions in some way and types, like what type you were played into how you play. It still does. It still can. But it would be easiest to demonstrate if everybody all played as one type first. Like if everybody played as INFJ first, then you go. Everybody's going from SI to NI, and it's easier to explain. But in the ideal format, you have a full quadra, so everybody's completion field is different. So it's like you can. Okay, well, Judy's 4 4s are on the external metaphysical field, but she has to get them to the external physical field. So she's got the internal metaphysical, internal physical, and then this one. So, I'm going to just let that hang out there. But Joe, who's also on this one, he's got a set, but he can close it here because that's his final field. So you see, it's like, it seems like I think it's going to be fun if we could get 4 people and figure out how to make the cards go.
Cool. Yeah.
But the mechanics of it, fundamentally, they work. Rachel won the game because she had more sets than I did at the end. So she had 7 sets. I had 5 sets, and that's her winning.
It was fun. Thanks for not being sore loser.
That's something that
some people really get
I know. You worry about that from like your ISTP boyfriend or something.
Hello.
I did not think it was any. I didn't think we were competing at all. I thought today's game was a massive success because it didn't fall apart systemically. The mechanics of it work. It's like as a system, it's balanced, and it's just the only unbalanced part is the drawing thing, which I fixed conceptually by just separating those two different stacks. You know? So
crowd shot. Take a hit or a shot.
Great gamer? No, I don't. I'm only transubstantiating this bong rip to the black lines. I try to give back to my people. If you're playing the Rachel and Eric coughing game concurrently, you have to take 2 drinks.
We'll take a really big bong rip. Cough with us.
Once I talked to a guy on my political side, and he had a very small and specific point of disagreement with the policy I proposed to him. So I smacked him around and called him an intolerant bigot hater. Literally Hitler. Hashtag literally Hitler. As soon as I tune in, all I hear is both of you dying. Well, we were coughing.
How are you with your soda?
Oh, I didn't get you one, huh? I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Did I get myself one? I went to go. No, I didn't.
I finished mine first.
Okay, so I didn't just go outside. No.
No, you didn't.
Okay. Yes, I would love a soda.
What?
Yes, I'd love a soda.
Okay, great.
Thanks. Let's see here. Bum, bum. Do I support SJWs? I mean, are you talking about people or something else? I mean, because are you saying like would I save them from getting hit by a bus? Yes, sure, of course. Would I feel sad if they were suffering? Yeah, sure, of course. If you mean, I think what you are trying to say, to be perfectly honest, is do I support their policies, quote unquote? You're again missing the point. They don't have policies. Do I support which policies specifically? What specific advocacy are you asking if I support or oppose? What you're talking about is something totally different. You're saying, but surely you agree that this stupid slap fight I'm having, that I'm in the right in it, right? No, you're both in the wrong because you're both slap fighting. You and your imaginary opponent. It's recreational outrage. Thank you, Sean O'Neill.
That's
Great
a good way of putting
term.
it.
Great NI slam bang bam.
Yeah.
Recreational outrage.
This Coke, like when you have a cold beverage and the cold goes to your head, but it's not too cold. Okay, well I'm feeling that right now.
I like the idea of soda pop right now because I'm thirsty. I have to work at 8:30.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot.
I almost did too. But
Your SI kicked in.
Yeah. Exactly. And if we were to define the terms social justice, here's the problem with social justice. Look, in Lincoln Douglas debate, there are a number of things that get used as values. Yeah, I did think it went well. I loved it. I was mentioning that to Rachel too.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed talking to those people. Those people asked questions and engaged with me in ways that went fine.
Yeah.
Right? And no problems,
Yeah, they had like real questions for you, and you were really able to answer most of their questions, I think.
I mean, I love, the thing is, I really love being asked challenging questions. I love being asked the most challenging questions you can come up with. I mean, provided they're not deep expertise challenging. Like, for example, if you ask me, how are we going to increase the nuclear fission reaction in this thing? I have no fucking idea. I don't know anything about that stuff. But if you're asking me about politics and stuff, then I have a strongly developed perspective on everything. And it doesn't mean it's a strong position in the sense that I am passionate about it. It means it's a strong position in the sense that it's the most defensible position I've been able to encounter in my goings about the world, talking to various people for quite a long time. Does smoking weed satisfy your SI need for sensory comforts? Yeah. I have I have this urge to to stem, as they said in special ed, which means self-stimulate. I have an ongoing need to stem, and that happens in a lot of ways. It happens in me shaking my knees. It happens in me smoking cigarettes. It happens in me smoking bong rips too. It's like I'll typically smoke cigarettes until I think I just had a cigarette. Okay, well, I'll smoke a bong rip then. That's how it happens usually. Speaking of politics, would world government model be the best model? What's world government model?
Hey, Dream B.
I mean, the thing is, whatever we're talking about, if it's if you're making a real advocacy, then it says we started the status quo and we change it in some way. So remembering that we in the status quo, we understand that a government is that which has sovereignty over its citizens. So if we're going to talk about a world government, then you're talking about each existing government in the world relinquishing its sovereignty to another government. Now, when you remember first that this purported world government at first is certainly not as big as any of the existing governments, and certainly does not represent in any meaningful way the populace as well as any of the existing governments, then I don't see how it ever attains any sort of marketplace advantage that allows it to be more legitimate than what we currently have. You don't want them to ruin anime? You know, Great Gamer? I am with you on that. I want to add that to my policy platform. I don't know who they are, but I don't want them to ruin anime.
I don't want them to ruin
Whoever they are.
anime either.
The anime ruiners. There is a tribe of people who live in Borneo. They're a native tribe that still lives in the old ways with their blow darts and such. And they are determined to ruin anime. You might think, well, how are these Borneans going to ruin anime? They're natives in Borneo. The animation is taking place in Korea and Japan. Well, the answer is they started selling vacation packages to visit the indigenous people of Borneo to Japanese animators. And once they arrive, they fill their heads with bad ideas. When they return, they can't get the bad ideas out of their heads. Why? Because they were imprinted there with ancient tribal magic.
That's magic is wrong.
They're going to ruin anime by banning big titties. You know, it's funny, Skyger. I was saying to Rachel the other day, one thing I like about Haikyuu is that I don't have to be distracted by the big titty girls.
That is nice.
There's only one. There's a sister. And, you know,
yeah.
I kind of learned to feel kind of sisterly about her in general anyway. Because you really feel her more as a character and less as like sexual eye candy.
Yeah, I mean, like, because, like, in Black Clover, there's this drunk chick who always has, like, basically underwear on. And I'm like, I'm even distracted by that, you know? Like,
no, it's funny. I don't find her distracting at all.
The
reason is because
she distracts me.
I think that's entirely to do with her character. Like, she's a lush, so
Yeah.
it's like, I just go, that sloppy pile or whatever in there, you know. I've been there, lady. I feel for you. I'm not trying to judge you or anything. I'm just saying. Like this is the one where it distracted me most was My Hero Academia. That was the one where, remember the girl who had the little plant guy?
Yep.
And first she was wearing INFP garb, and nobody knew. And then she changed into her uniform, and she had big old titties. And
oh shit!
And then like the bad kid ghost.
Yes.
The thing, the bad kid ghost goes and she tries to say, "Oh, come here, bad kid ghost. It's okay. Go back. Be at peace," or whatever. And he like squonks her boobs or puts his face in her boobs or something.
Boobs, yeah.
He puts his face in her boobs, and then the other character is like, "Oh, I want to touch them too."
Yeah, that was distracting.
But they were. It's like that girl was in that cartoon. The girls weren't just busty; they were especially porny, you know, in their movements and their bounciness and their.
True.
I mean, there's always that kind of Japanese girl in some of these cartoons.
Yeah.
One of those that's like super. So it's a good point, Skygear. It should be noted that the quintessential party people don't actually party that much. I say Rachel and I are quintessential party people,
Here we are.
but sure, we rock the Casbah, but I wouldn't necessarily say we tear the roof off the motherfucker.
No. It's so nice. I love it.
It is very nice.
It is.
I worry that, I could be a little oblivious sometimes. The thing is, the weird thing is, because you don't ever police me on it explicitly, I'm way more hyper aware of my own inconsiderateness than I ever was with an SFJ who's trying to teach me about it, right? In which case, she's making position statements, and I'm saying, okay, those words aren't right. Whereas if you just do it wordlessly to me or something, or say the right words, it's a different story. Well, Rachel just sort of, Rachel successfully manages me by trying her best not to reveal anything that would be managing, and then it's basically a white hat, black hat sec war on coding level where she's trying to prevent me from seeing her be like fussy at all, and I'm trying to anticipate where she will legitimately be fussy because from her perspective she's not attained her recommended daily allowance of FE effectiveness if in fact she reveals to me that she's getting bored with something or fussy about something. So I try to be okay, well, my intuition is pretty good too, Rachel. I'm going to intuit that you're not in the moment necessarily. I'll intuit it later, and then I'll come back tomorrow and say, last night, I know that this is not foreplay. This is what you call two intuitards who can't get a cup of water without constructing complex narratives about how they communicate about the cup of water and how that's reflective about their communication in general, and to the extent to which it deviates from that, and where that consistency and deviation and the balance between them potentially could function as some sort of engine by which relationship health itself could be determined. I thought we were just getting a cup of water. Have you watched Gyakyu Barai Kaiji? It's the best gambling anime out there.
That sounds fun.
There's a whole subgenre of anime, gambling anime. That's crazy. That's great. Thanks for the advice.
Check that out. Yeah.
We don't.
I'm liking Black Clover because it's so kind of mindless. We have the same exact response to it, which is when I first started Black Clover, I found the main character incredibly irritating, I thought, oh my god, this is like two-dimensional Naruto, just dumber and louder. In reality, it's actually sweet. It's so sweet. It is.
It's a very sweet show. It's like nobody
There's
dies.
A lot of happy stuff.
The main character, the Naruto guy, is less conflicted. And they don't have deep story conflict.
No. They don't. They just be cartoon characters. Yeah. And then they take stuff from Harry Potter and stuff and make it into their own Japanese happiness.
Co-op shit left and right.
Yeah, totally. And it works.
Oh look, it's the Pied Piper. It's the Pied Piper, except they're flying a broom and it's snow and they make it snow.
Yeah. That's what I love about Japanese anime is literally anything can happen. You can make anything happen in Japanese anime.
Black Clover is decent around that first super strong guy from the 3 Eye guys. And then again, the witch arc.
Your Huckleberry, you would not like it.
I don't even think I've gotten there yet, Skygear. we're, I don't know, 20, 30-ish episodes in.
Yeah, we're 20 something in.
Here's the thing, great gamer. You have to understand that there are always swings, okay? That when any given ideological bent becomes predominant, it increasingly and necessarily subjects itself to ridicule. Because it's always going to be ridiculous and wrong, because it's dogmatic, agenda-driven bullshit rather than actual adult politics. And I had an end to that sentence, and it was really great, but I left it over there.
What happens?
Thanks, Joey. That was it. But look, no one buys their stuff anymore. We go out of business. If their new comic books are actually that shitty, then
yeah,
they will fail.
exactly.
Here's the funny thing: is I watched and enjoyed a cartoon show called The Girl with the Blonde Hair Things and the baseball bat and
Oh shit!
Joker's girlfriend.
Yes.
What's her name? Joker's girlfriend.
Harley Quinn.
Harley
that
Quinn.
That was a good
Harley
cartoon.
Quinn. Harley Quinn cartoon.
Yeah.
It was great.
That was great.
It was also super. It wasn't super. It was successfully woke, and it would successfully have thrown up in its mouth to use the term in a serious way.
Sure.
I hope. I'm not quite sure I would go that far. I'm not sure I would go quite that far. But the thing they do at the beginning of one of those Harley Quinn episodes, where they write out two dudes sitting there, and one of them was ready to watch Harley Quinn and see what it's like, and yeah, I'm interested to see what it's like. And I was like, yeah, I want to see that. You know what that is? It's just progressive identity politics and feminists imposing their worldview on it. It's like, hey, you keep your paradigm away from me, man. I don't even want shit. I don't even want to see. You know, it's just garbage. And he's like, well, do you want to even watch any of it to see if it is? Something like that. I'm doing an injustice to the writing of the little pre.
No, you're not. You're doing a
pre-show
really
thing.
good job.
I mean, saying it was more well written than my paraphrase of it at the moment. But the point is, they win. They won with that. They totally won that argument. And anytime anybody says this kind of shit to me, I go, well, you already lost this debate that you weren't aware you were in when Harley Quinn tore that shit to pieces at the beginning. I was just like, ooh, burn.
Yeah.
Because it's a smart fucking cartoon.
It's a great cartoon. I really like Poison Ivy. She's my favorite. She's the ESTP, right? Yeah.
You know, who gets screwed in the end, though? Who gets fucked in that thing? Who gets fucked?
I don't know. I didn't see.
Who's the one who doesn't get fucked and who, as a consequence, gets fucked in the whole thing? It's it's Poison Ivy's boyfriend.
Oh, the Kite Man.
Kite Man. Right, Kite Man. Kite Man gets screwed in the end because
Aww,
you know she's gonna marry Kite Man, and then she gets a taste of that hot lady on lady action.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then she breaks up with Kite Man and goes off with Harley.
I didn't know that.
That's how it ends.
That's why they were shipping them on Tumblr. I'm like, huh? I didn't know what they were talking about. That's very smart.
It's really well done, to be honest. It's incredibly well done.
I'm happy for them.
I would say that Kite Man receives a little bit of the Sex and the City treatment, but is afforded way more legitimacy.
That's good.
And
yeah.
And the thing is, though, You know, the in some sense the show takes it very easy on itself. Like it kind of lets itself off the hook by letting Kite Man just sort of roll off of him and shit. But it says the right words first, I guess. Regardless, it's
really good.
It's a really good show.
Yeah, I think it's
recommend
well written. I thought it was funny. I mean, like I said, like Poison Ivy, and then having the plant from what's that movie? Little House.
Little Shop of
Horrors.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, plant, like that was really, like, I thought, imaginative.
Where? When? What?
And Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy.
I don't think that was supposed to be that same guy, that same plant. I mean,
I know.
Maybe it was. I guess I don't know. He did sound like him. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like a
maybe.
homage.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I'll buy an homage. I think it had a different name than that plant.
Yeah, he wasn't the dude. He wasn't. He's not.
He used the same variety of plant, same kind of villain.
It's an homage.
Same villain. Yeah,
okay. There's a lot of homages.
You're right. That's the best way to put it. All right, you already used the best term, so me trying to any it any further won't do it.
It's good. It's good. And then Kite Man is actually really funny too. He's very endearing. It's so funny. It's a very funny show. And Harley too. What's her name? The actress who plays her is just great.
So, I mean, the thing is, we could easily enough test this theory. We could try to come up with a pitch that has all the relationships between the characters, like, defined as in the most woke possible way. So, you know, you've got an uneducated Peruvian goat herder.
Oh my god.
Who's taken on the job of head surgeon at the local hospital in Los Angeles now that he's successfully climbed over the wall to join his family.
That sounds bang on.
And the thing is, he had to struggle. He had to struggle to get that medical license. He had to struggle to pass those tests. He had to struggle to learn English. He did it all in one episode. And he became head surgeon of the hospital.
In one episode?
One episode.
I like that.
It was the entire episode.
Time is not...
A 1 hour episode, the entire episode. Montage.
I love that.
So, yeah, he got a lot of shit done. It's known as Maximum Montage.
Oh, is that the title of the episode?
Yeah.
That's the title.
Yeah, Maximum Montage. So anyway, but see, that's how they get you from. That's how they get all the backstory in.
Yeah, exactly.
They say, "Look, we've learned from Japanese animation's mistakes.
Yes,
we've learned that viewers don't want to hear about their characters' childhoods. Like,
no.
Why does Japan think I care about this 40-year-old character's what happened to him when he was 7 years old with his friend? What makes them think I care about that?" Or anybody cares about that.
Because they do.
But it's like every single character. You've got to know.
Yeah, no.
It's like
their best friends, their sibling, their parents.
The textbook animation move is big boss fight, right? Massive ball of lightning, and then it kind of going, ah! But Joji. And he drifts into his memory. And now it's him and Joji, and they're both 4 years old, and they're having rice buns.
Yeah.
And their mom is pouring the tea, and then he remembers this memory, and his dad's staggering into his blood, and he says, and his father says, "Don't trust the Cachetotas clan," and then he dies. Oh shit! I gotta work. Forgot about it.
Oh shit! Right. Bye, guys.
And it's like, why are you interrupting the fight for this song? Sorry, I spaced out. You know, it's funny. I remembered like 15 minutes ago, but then when actually 15 minutes later, I forgot. So I'll be right there. All right, bye. Gotta go, everybody. See you later.